I'm Patrick Lancaster, and the NATO summit has just taken place, and we've got a lot to talk about. Daddy Trump, as he was called, we'll explain that later, seemed to command the spotlight as NATO leaders scrambled to meet his demands. Zelensky was not welcome, but yet Ukraine seemed to be promised NATO accession in the future. And it seems Trump got what he wanted, an increase in the payment from each member state. We're going to get into all these and much, much more. What is the NATO summit? Well, it's a high-level meeting where officials from the 32 member states come together. Now, this includes presidents, prime ministers, and military officials come together to discuss the strategic alliance, the direction of the alliance, and the support the alliance will give to member and non-member states, and much, much more. Let's have a look at some of the key points that came out of this summit. Member states will modernize their nuclear capabilities. They will support Ukraine on Ukraine's irreversible, as it was put, ascension to NATO. NATO members agreed to a new spending target of 5%, which over doubles the old target of 2%. Now, this is supposed to take effect in 2035, so it's still a long ways away. And Trump boasted on how he said years ago it needed to go to 5%, but today he got what he wanted. And this 5% is from each individual country's GDP. So basically 5% of what their country's making, their gross domestic product. 3.5% of that will be for core military costs, and 1.5% will be for security-related areas. By next year, each country should be putting in a roadmap of how they're going to get to that 5%. By 2029, each country will have a review of their progress. And by, as I said, 2035, it should be implemented. And Trump calls this a great victory. And according to the Washington Post, Trump told member leaders that Russia will not attack them as long as he's president. And according to the Washington Post, Trump told NATO member leaders that Russia will not attack them as long as he's president. Now, what is he trying to portray by this statement? Is he trying to say he has some sort of control over Russia? Or is he just saying that hopefully in the future there will be closer ties with Russia and the United States and the rest of NATO for that matter? Now, at the same time, Trump is declaring Russia not a threat to NATO member states as long as he's president. The summit also declared Russia a long-term threat to Euro-Atlantic security. And Trump announced in the summit that the United States was going to be buying 15 icebreakers from Finland, saying, "You are the king of icebreakers. You make them good. So we negotiated for 15 icebreakers. One of them is available now." This is what Trump had to say about Finland's icebreakers. But the fact is, Finland is by no means the king of the icebreakers. There's one country that has nuclear-powered icebreakers, and that is Russia. And they have 8 of those nuclear-powered icebreakers, with a total amount of icebreakers reported anywhere between 46 and 57. Finland operates 8 dedicated icebreakers. Now, how is Finland the king of icebreakers when they have 8 compared to over 40 or 50 in Russia? And Russia has nuclear powered icebreakers. What is he talking about? How is Finland going to sell the United States 15 icebreakers if they only have 8? Now, they also have some tugs that assist the icebreakers, but there's only, as I said, 8 dedicated icebreakers in Finland. They by no means are leading the way in global strategic icebreaking abilities. There's just it's just not a fact. Let's talk about Daddy Trump, as the Secretary General of NATO called him when Trump called Israel and Iran children fighting on the playground.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easy to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
I think we have to join the others.
Obviously, the Secretary General of NATO, who represents the alliance, looks at Trump and the United States as somewhat of a father figure or overlord, you could say. And here we can see a reporter talking to Trump about how the Secretary General of NATO called him daddy and what that means. And does Trump look at the NATO member states as his children?
Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and they're spending more, and you're obviously appreciative of that, but do you hope that actually they're going to be able to defend themselves, defend Europe on their own?
I think they need help a little bit at the beginning, and I think they'll be able to, and I think they're going to remember this day. And this was a big day for NATO. You know, this was a very big day. They took it. One of the gentlemen said, you know what? We've been trying to raise money raise the rate for 30 years, he said, 20 years, from almost the beginning. And he's been there for a long time. He said, until you came along, it never happened. What you did is amazing. It's been sort of an amazing day.
And of course, Mark Rutte, the Secretary General, backtracked fast, saying, oh, I wasn't calling him daddy. I was just saying this and this, but I wasn't calling Trump daddy. Well, okay, let's see what he said. And of course, Mark Rutte, the Secretary General, backtracked fast, saying, oh, I wasn't calling him daddy. I was just saying this and this, but I wasn't calling Trump daddy. Well, okay, let's see what he said.
The daddy thing, I didn't call him daddy. What I said is that sometimes in Europe, I hear sometimes countries saying, hey, Mark, will the US stay with us? And I said, that sounds a little bit like a small child asking his daddy, hey, are you still staying with the family? So in that sense, I use daddy, not that I was calling President Trump daddy.
You comment below, was he calling Trump daddy? And what does that mean in the overall scheme of things? And Trump commented on the complete destruction of the Fordow nuclear facility in Iran, which supposedly held these hundreds of pounds of enriched uranium, which Iran was supposedly going to be using to make the nuclear weapons. But if you haven't heard, over the last day, there's been a lot of, there's been a lot of drama and controversy over this statement that he's been going on again and again saying complete destruction. Because days ago, a U.S. intelligence report came out saying that there wasn't complete destruction. And CNN, it was leaked to CNN. And CNN said they backed it up on other sources. Basically, CNN says there was not complete destruction of this nuclear facility, but Trump says there was. And there's also been a criminal case launched on who leaked this report, which Trump says is wrong. And this criminal case has been launched, and even other intelligence sources like Tulsi Gabbard, the director of the U.S. intelligence, has backed up Trump saying complete destruction. And now Trump at the summit says Israeli operatives went there and there was complete destruction. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, told the summit that the U.S. should use the authority it received by attacking Iran to stop the war in Ukraine. The German Chancellor Merz said the war in Ukraine cannot be stopped with military means. And at the same time, the German Chancellor Merz said the Ukraine war cannot be solved militarily. And the UK Prime Minister says now is the time to push Putin into a ceasefire. Now, considering the last month, Russia has made more gains in the same time period that they have in any months in the last 2 years. Russia is pushing through Ukrainian forces, taking more and more territory at a faster speed than they have in the last years. So what are they talking about? Now is the time to push Russia into a ceasefire. It seems like Russia is running the show as far as the war goes on the front line of the Ukraine war. And Trump says the situation in the Ukraine war is completely out of control. And Mark Rutte again stated that his opinion of Putin has not changed, that he does not and cannot trust Putin. Now, this came at the same time when he's promising Ukraine accession to NATO, saying their path is irreversible at this point. Seems not very accurate to me. And the Prime Minister of Hungary, Orban, said that Zelensky was not welcome at the summit, saying, "In diplomacy, what matters isn't where you are, it's where you are not. The Americans, Turks, Slovaks, and we made it clear we do not want to sit at the same table with Mr. Zelensky when NATO is on the agenda," he said. Now, that comment happened just before the summit. Now, I wonder, is that why Zelensky decided to dress up, dress to impress? He came with actually a jacket on and, wasn't looking too bad compared to his informal dress wear of the last years, where he never comes dressed up. Even to the White House wouldn't come dressed up. Or did he come to impress Daddy Trump? Now, Trump made a comment, said that he stands all the way with Article 5 and that we're with them all the way. Of course, Article 5, if there's an attack on a NATO member, all defend the NATO member. Now, he made a point, it seems, to comment this time during the summit on this because I believe a day or so ago, he was asked about if he fully supports Article 5, and he made a comment of, well, it depends on your definition. There's many different definitions. I believe he was asked this on Air Force One by a reporter. What was he really doing? Of course, he knows what Article 5 is, or he should. Maybe he got a little taken off guard or something like that. But you have a look at the footage and you say for sure.
Are you still committed to Article 5 of NATO?
Depends on your definition. There's numerous definitions of Article 5, you know that, right? But I'm committed to being their friends. I've become friends with many of those leaders, and I'm committed to helping them.
You comment below what you think. I mean, he also made a point to comment that Putin called him and offered to help with the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran. And at the same time, he said that if Iran does restart their nuclear enrichment program, they'll be attacked again by the US. And saying Iran went through hell and they will not try the nuke thing again. And regardless of what Iran says, he's still claiming that Iran's nuclear plan has been set back decades. And he stated at the summit that Iran still has a country, so it's a great victory for them. And he says the ceasefire is going very well, and he's very proud of Israel. They brought their planes back. And I was referring to when he demanded over social media and purportedly on a phone call to the Prime Minister demanding they bring their planes back. But there was still an attack. One, maybe two reported attacks near Tehran. So he's kind of playing it off like, hey, yeah, they fully listened to me. But there still was, all evidence points to the fact that there still was an attack after he told them to bring the planes back. But whatever, we'll see. And also, Trump compared, without comparing, he said he was not comparing, but he was comparing this attack with these new bombs, the 30-ton bombs by the U.S. on Iran's nuclear facility, compared it to Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the way that those ended the war too. And of course, there was a lot more that went on in the summit, but these are some key points that I wanted to tell you about that I thought you might want to hear about. So please like this video, share it across all social media. Go down, click the subscribe button for Substack. That's where a lot more of my reports go and a lot more of my information goes that doesn't make it to YouTube, like deep dives into my reports. And also, click on the donation link in the description or the pinned comments or on the screen and donate to support my work, because I'm supported with the donations by you, my viewers. So make sure you do that now. Let me know in the comments what you think of this report, what else you want to see, what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right. Of course, I'm not doing everything I'm not bringing you all of the information out there. I'm only bringing you a little bit. Not one source has all the information. So get as much information from as many sources as possible. And let's show the world together what we can. Please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think.